Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Day 26. Am I thinking? Is today day 26? No, it's the 25th time we sat down. The day 25, what I was going to talk about that day, I'm not. Because this week in particular is different for me in that sphere. So I'm going to save that. So 24, no, 25, 26. So that's why I did not come on Friday because day 25 needed to wait. That's flexibility there. So here we are, day 26. And I want to start something honest this morning, something that does not get said enough in spaces like this. The work gets hard sometimes, not just uncomfortable, I mean, really, really hard. The kind of hard where the practice slips, where you drift from discipline, where the old noise gets louder than the signal, and the false self structures that you thought that you had dismantled, they're still running full speed some places, some spaces, some mindsets, as if nothing had changed. And I see this every single day, not just in myself, but in others. And then they get frustrated. This stuff happens. And it happens to everyone doing this work. It's happened to me, even in this series. And I want to talk about that this morning. Not because I want to be heavy, but because not talking about it leaves people alone when it arrives. And when people are alone with it, they conclude something. Oh, I guess I've just failed. This work didn't hold. It's not doing what I thought it was going to do. That they're not capable of the freedom they've been building. And none of that's true. None of it's true. And I want to give you something better to stand on when you hit these moments. Okay? The truth is that the work of real, genuine transformation is not a straight line. We've talked about this, but let me be more specific today about why it gets hard, because understanding the mechanism, as always, helps. The first reason is that the false self doesn't disappear when you see it. It just doesn't. Seeing it changes your relationship to it. It gives you, in that sense, a choice over it, but it doesn't remove it. The patterns are still there. The neural pathways are still there. Their survival adaptations are still there, available to activate when the conditions that originally required them return. And those conditions will always return. See, we often mistake freedom for the lack of the conditions, the lack of the experience. Those things are not changing. The relationship dynamic that feels like the original threat, the environment that resembles the one where the contract was built, the pressure that triggers the old management system. When those conditions appear, the false self wants to run. And sometimes before you catch it, it's halfway down the street. The performance kicks back in. The contract starts to reassert. You act from the old structure for just a moment or an hour or a day. That is not failure. It's just the predictable behavior of a survival system in the presence of a perceived threat. It doesn't mean the work hasn't been real. Let me get closer. It means you're human. It means the work is still in progress, which is where it will always be. The second reason the work gets hard is that transformation requires ongoing loss. Now, we talked about grief earlier in the series, but grief is not a one-time event, okay? There's multiple rounds of loss as you go deeper into the excavation. And sometimes in the middle of a new round of loss, the grief is heavy enough to make the whole project feel less certain than it did. And that's beautiful. And that's good, and it's okay, because that is the work. The grief is not the evidence that you're losing. It's the evidence that you're digging deeper. So things get hard, okay? Hard moments. And here's what I've found actually works when the work gets hard. Not what sounds good, what actually works. First and most importantly, listen to this. You do not judge the drift. Do not make a moral judgment. Do not make an indictment. Judgment of the drift is the thing that most reliably turns a temporary departure into a sustained state. When you shame yourself for having slipped, and I even hate the word slip, that's what you're going to call it though. When you shame yourself for seeing the old structure, you make it harder to return because returning requires admitting the departure. Remember, this whole thing starts, well, you may not know, but with honesty, real honesty. And if you admit the departure, admitting it in the presence of harsh internal judgment is a compounding. That's a compounding thing that's almost unbearable. So instead of that, notice the drift with curiosity. Hey, what's happening here? What trigger? There's that old pattern. What triggered that? What was going on around me? This is not an excuse-making exercise. It is diagnostic. Understanding what activated the old structure helps you work more specifically on exactly that territory. Second, return without ceremony. Just come back. It's like, oh my gosh, how many days a week? I'm not kidding. In the last 3 weeks, I think I have gone probably 11 days without eating anything because it's just busy, overly, exhaustively busy. Just come back. I don't get up the next morning and go, I'm so hungry, but I haven't eaten. I was a terrible consumer of food. Let me make this grand gesture. I just picked up something and put it in my mouth. Don't make the return something dramatic. Don't build a new commitment structure. Don't ever build a commitment structure around it. Don't announce it. It's going to be different this time. I'm going to just return to the practice quietly, internally today. No fanfare, nothing. Returning is the statement of truth. You don't say anything about it. And third, extend yourself the same compassion and grace that you would extend to someone who you love, who is doing this work and had a hard week. Would you say, oh, I knew you were probably going to fail? Would you even say that they'd failed? Would you say that the work wasn't true? That they weren't capable? Of course not. That's like telling a toddler he's an idiot because he can't walk yet when he's learning to crawl. Would you'd say it just like this. Hey. Welcome to humanity. The work is what we do every day. The drift happens. Come on. You're still in this. Say that to yourself. Say that to yourself. In the middle of this series, there's a place here where this work has gotten genuinely hard for me. A certain room. It was a week, and I don't want to give you the details because they're not all mine to share. But the external complexity was significant, where the noise was loud, where I woke up on a morning and the signal was very quiet and the old performance instincts were very loud. It was unsettling to me. And I just sat with it. I didn't collapse into the performance, but I felt the pull. It's like, man, I'll get this. I'll do this. I felt that familiar shape of the old structure. It was present. It was available. And it was basically offering its services as a way to manage the difficulty. And I'm thinking about how I've been living and teaching over the last few years. And then what I've been talking about just in this series specifically about the signal, about the false self becoming a survival structure, right? The hall moment as the place where honesty realigns the interior. And I got honest with myself about what was happening. I named it. I didn't fix it, didn't try to. Some things can't be fixed immediately, but named it, saw it clearly. And the naming was enough to stay myself in it, not to disappear into the performance, not to even worry about the fact that performance was a possibility. to be genuinely present in the difficulty rather than managed against it. See, that's the work. Not the absence of hard days, the presence of yourself in the hard days. And for the whole moment in the hard seasons is the moment you realize you are handling it differently than you would have before. See, so this is hard, and I'm not managing it well, but I'm here, being true to myself, still oriented toward the aligned life, even in the middle of the turbulence. When that honesty lands, something aligns with quiet force. The recognition that the work has produced something very real and very strong and very bold. That you are different from who you were before the work. That the hard season is hard, but you've got it. That is not triumph. It's something better than triumph. It's evidence. So today, I want you to take a stop. I want you to take a moment and take stock of a current hard patch. Something in your life that is currently difficult. Maybe it's a relationship, a circumstance, something inside. You don't have to have it resolved. Just bring it to the light. Name it. Ask, how am I handling this compared to how I would have handled it a year ago, 2 years ago, before the work? Not to minimize the difficulty, but to see the growth, to see the evidence that the work is producing something real, even in the hard moments. That's what I want you to do. So here we are, day 26, almost there. Tomorrow, the return on the work. We're going to look at what's actually been produced, the specific evidence that this is real. And I won't be here Wednesday morning. So just letting you know already. So you be well, and I'll see you in the morning.